Well, hi everybody. It's me, Mateo Potato, or Matt, whichever one you prefer. And this is kind of like a response to the Facebook page, Tfytc, or the Transformers YouTube community. And we were challenged to make a kind of like a homework assignment over the weekend. It's busy this weekend, so I'm recording this on the Monday after. Basically, what we were asked to do is make a video about when we became a collector, or if I understood it right, when did we start collecting, or how long have we been collecting. So this is gonna be like a kind of a culmination of all of those. So I got started collecting when I was really little. My great-grandfather was really into cars, like hardcore. Like, he had like collections and shelves of just die-cast vehicles. You see those at like the Rite Aid or some other drugstores. They're just sitting in a toy section. He would always go in there. Every single time he'd go in there to pick up his medicine or something, he'd just boop, grab one right off the shelf. Not just cars either, you know, he had planes and helicopters and tractors and all of these different vehicles. He went to a flea market one day and he bought a little car, and he was looking at it and he was like, oh, I didn't know they made vehicles this small, because like he had Matchbox cars, but it was smaller than a Matchbox car. And he saw a boat, so he picked those two up. I think he got them for, I don't even remember how much, but he brought them home, showed them to me, and then I was playing with the boat, and I went to go crash the boat, and I pulled it apart, or it extended. This was my first iteration with G1 Sea Spray. Well, I thought I'd broken it, so I got really upset, and I asked my grandfather, I said, is this supposed to happen? So he's sitting there trying to figure it out, and he transforms it, and just by figuring it out, he's like, oh, this is new. Let me see the other one. So I hand him the other one, and it was, I think it was Cliff Jumper? It was either Cliff Jumper or Wind Charger, one or the other. But he transformed those, and he's like, this is pretty neat. I played with them more than he did, but he would, you know, sit down, we'd play Transformers, we'd play cards a lot, and that was my first experience with Transformers. Because before that, I had heard that there was Transformers, you know, like hear the name thrown around, but I'm like, I don't know what that is. I've never experienced it. And I was like 3, maybe 4, and this is like my earliest memory, one of my earliest memories. So there's that. And then you know, as I got a little bit older, he started going to flea markets more and getting the bigger ones. Like he got a G1 Metroplex and a G1 Trypticon at a flea market, I think for like $10 to $15 a piece, and we would just play. You know, I'd have the Decepticons because I like Trypticon's T-Rex mode, and he would have the Autobots because he liked the cars, you know, and we had some of the Micromaster jets and stuff like that, and it was really fun times, and that was my first experience with Transformers. So I started looking around for them myself. I didn't really find any because, you know, he would take me to flea markets, and I would always keep an eye out, and every now and then I'd find one, but not too often. And then I found the Armada series on TV, and I would watch that with him, and we'd watch the Armada series. I'd be like, oh, that's Optimus Prime, that's Megatron. They don't look like their G1 styles, but they look really cool. But G1, I didn't know what G1 was back then. I just called them the old ones. They didn't look like the old ones, but those look really cool. Like, I was really into Armada. I kind of stopped watching it because it would come on too early, you know, for me. But I remember I've seen all of Armada. I would watch every single episode, and then when Energon came on, I was just kind of like, I'm good. Same with Cybertron. I wasn't into the big CGI looking things, and I was just busy with school, and by that time I was probably about 10 or 11, and I'm like, oh, I'm too cool for that. I'll play with the ones I have. I'm not into the new ones. Yeah, I was that kid at the age of 10 or 11. No, sorry, I was 8 or 9 is when Cybertron and Energon came out. So like I was like, nah, I don't like those shows. I like the old ones. I kind of fell out of collecting for a while. My great-grandfather was getting older. He's had more sickly incidents, needed more medication, so we weren't able to go out and buy Transformers anymore. We weren't able to go and collect them anymore. I actually ended up selling the ones that we had bought to, you know, help pay for his medicine and stuff like that. So I would give the money to my mom or give the money to my great-grandmother. And a few years later, you know, I no longer collecting. I just didn't have money. I just didn't ask for Transformers. And that was when the movies came out. And I got super stoked about the movies. Little 10-year-old me, super excited to see his Transformers on screen looking like real vehicles. The first Michael Bay movie still kind of holds a special place in my heart just for that reason, because I went to go see it with my great-grandfather and my grandmother too, and we just loved it. My grandmother still loves them. She gets excited to watch a new Transformers movie every time one comes out. We didn't get back into collecting, but that's all we talked about for like 3 weeks was how good the movie was. We went over every detail. We wanted to go back and watch it again and again and again. I think we saw it like twice in the theaters. And then Revenge of the Fallen came out, and I remember going to the movies to see that one with just my grandmother, because by this time my great-grandfather was too old and sick to move. His joints were really stiff, so he would always stay home, and I went home, told him about the movie. I had to see it twice before I told him about that, because I fell asleep at the theater watching it for the first time. Even at my age in 2009, it just wasn't good. But you know, he got happy for me and that I had watched that, and you know, still didn't collect. It just didn't feel the same without him. I'd see Transformers toys on the shelf and I'd be really tempted, but I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want to help with this. I want to get this. By the time Animated came out, I was hitting that. I was in about 8th grade. I think it was... No, I was in 7th grade when Animated came out. I just said it. I watched a couple episodes here and there. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. It's not my Transformers. Of course, now I completely regretted it because I've never seen the entire show. I've only seen a few episodes. Now I regret it, and I wish I'd bought the toys too, because some of those look... Sorry to do like the whole meme. That's dumb. Why is that a meme? Some of those toys looked fantastic, but I was not on board with Animated at the time, and I don't know why. I was just a stupid 13-year-old, I guess. I've always been big into Star Wars, and Star Wars was kind of taking over my life at the time as opposed to Transformers. I guess another reason I didn't collect either was because like I went to a school where there were kids who bullied. Like there were kids who were picked on for liking certain things. Like there was a kid who got picked on for liking Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a kid who got picked on for liking Ninja Turtles. Like it was a weird school. And I didn't want to be that kid who was picked on for liking Transformers or picked on for liking Star Wars, so I just kind of kept that stuff to myself, kept it on the down low. And then I rolled into high school, and high school in 2010 was alright. Nothing new Transformers related. I was off Transformers for the longest time. Yeah, after the third Michael Bay movie, I think it was in 2012 when my great-grandfather passed away, that I felt like I really had to get back into collecting again. He still had Sea Spray and all that, but we had to help pay for funeral arrangements, so I ended up selling all of those, and they went for more than I thought they would. But, you know, unfortunately I don't have those anymore, and that's like my biggest regret, is not keeping any of the figures that we had. I've reclaimed several of them, like I have a Metroplex and a Trypticon, but it's just, it's hard for me to, you know, start reclaiming them because they're older ones, and it was hard for me to give them up, but I had to. And at the time I had a girlfriend throughout high school, so I dropped Transformers for the longest time just because it was too many painful memories. I didn't get back into collecting again until about a year ago, when Combiner Wars was, I wouldn't say just winding down. I got really into Transformers again. Like, I had the Fall of Cybertron games and the War for Cybertron games, and I was playing those, making my own characters and playing multiplayer online. And I was just like, you know what, why am I shutting this out of my life? It has such special meaning to me. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start collecting again, you know, in memory a little bit, but, you know, mostly because I had such nostalgia for it. So I went out, and I think my first Transformer that I bought off store shelves after getting back into collecting was black. No, it was Combiner Wars Wheeljack. I know, it was the worst one to pick up. But that Wheeljack started, you know, started the ball rolling again, and I picked up a few Legends figures. Like, I picked up the Combiner Wars Blackjack, the Legends Groove, the Titans Return started finally hitting shelves, and I picked up Rewind and Wheelie, and, you know, all of these Transformers that were hitting store shelves. I had a job at the time. It wasn't well paying, and then I started a full-time job. It was my first, I want to say, like, first real adult job, call center job. I was making a lot of money at the time, and I'm like, I have a little bit extra because I'm living with my parents, don't have to pay rent, don't have to pay bills, I'm paying myself for food, so I'm gonna spend a little bit extra. So I would go, after I would get my paycheck deposited, I would take $25 every paycheck, put it on an eBay gift card, and that was my money for Transformers. Just because my Walmart and Target weren't good at restocking themselves, and I didn't have my license at the time, but I had the $25 eBay gift card, and that was my Transformers spending money for the whole week. I would always go on eBay, look at the lowest prices, and scroll down through. And I remember my first masterpiece Transformer was Prowl. It was a KO Prowl. But it wasn't like one of those like crappy KOs with loose joints. No, it was like one of those Tekasa Tony things. But the joints were really well on it, and it was a really nice figure. And that was like my definitive Transformer. Like, that was my favorite Transformer that I had, just because it was my only masterpiece. Unfortunately, that one did not survive a dog attack. Yeah, my dog kind of chewed that one up, and unfortunately. After that, I discovered there was a vintage toy shop, South China toy store, who I've talked about a couple times on this channel. He's actually got a YouTube channel. I'll probably put a link down below for that. I discovered that store, and then I got my license. I started going to Targets, Walmarts, and Walgreens, and just looking for them, because beforehand I wasn't looking for Transformers. I was looking at Black Series stuff. I was looking at some Star Wars stuff. I wasn't mainly looking at Transformers. Now that I had, I started to notice all this cool stuff. And I've picked it up, and I've got a lot of stuff over the years, or over the year. That basically leads me to where I am today. You know, I've got sweeps, I've got a little bit of everything, basically, and I don't think I'm gonna stop anytime soon. With Power of the Prime's hitting, I'm planning on getting all of those. I've got most of Wave 1, so that'll be fun. But that's my story of collecting. I know it's kind of a long one, but that's about it. And I challenge anybody who's watching this video to kind of make one themselves. Talk about how you became a collector, or how you started collecting, or what got you into it. Make a video of it, post it. Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be too long, doesn't have to be 3 minutes, doesn't have to be half an hour. Do whatever you want with it. Like, subscribe, do whatever it is you guys do, and I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, bye-bye.